Y'all, commitment is the first step. And no, this is not a video about relationships or anything to do with anything outside of you or anyone outside of you, but self-commitment is the first step, okay? And those of you that follow my main channel, The Life of a Free Spirit, you guys may or may not be aware that this ring was actually gifted to me through a sponsorship that I did. It's so interesting because I've always wanted a heart-shaped engagement ring, quite literally just like this one. And I don't think it's a coinky-dink that all of my previous relationships, even though I've been engaged before, they failed to give me the ring that I've always wanted and deserve, but I was able to give it to myself. The way that this happened, especially in the height of my self-love and self-commitment journey and my journey for better change and betterment of self, it's like you cannot doubt that manifestation is like, real, because it is. It's all about who we're being and who we know that we are and who we've always been, and just aligning with our true identity of self. And this ring in itself signifies to me my commitment to me, especially because it came in the peak of my journey. And I honestly, I love this, and I am so here for this. I am so excited by this. And it is quite literally a symbol of not only the commitment that I've had to self, the dedication and the devotion that I've had to myself, but the commitment that I've had to bettering my entire life and my entire mindset, and even down to ascending and achieving Christ consciousness, and being able to completely turn my life around by turning around my inner being. So this ring has a lot of symbolism, and I want you all to know that it takes this level of commitment and love to self in order for anything in your reality to reflect. Everything always has to do with what we're being, our self-concept, and what we are identifying as. So you cannot be so overly attached, you cannot be so overly identified with the outer and the circumstances and the people around you to where you abandon self and you lack that self-trust, that self-love, that self-devotion, because that's exactly where you're going wrong. Commitment is truly the first step to manifesting or achieving any kind of change. And also think about it. This doesn't go for just mindset manifestation. This goes for like things like, think about it. Like if you want to get a better body, you go to the gym and you work out and bop. Okay. You're committed to that. You are learning a new skill, right? You're committed to that. You are committed to learning a new sport, training for this team, right? Getting that position on said team, right? Hell, I mean, we all know how committed we have always been to our education, whether we want to, go to like a top university or maybe learn a trade or whatever. That takes commitment, that takes some diligence, that takes some dedication. Give it to yourself first. For the first time in your life, give it to yourself. Commit to yourself with that level of love and gratitude and chosenness and awareness. Commit to yourself with that level of diligence. Commit to yourself with that level of just unwavering faith. And I promise you, you will see your life start to reflect it day in and day out, because it has to. It really has to. Like, especially for my girlies, you going through a breakup, you just like left, a dingy ass motherfucker, right? You handed him back the whole ass timeline. I see you, sis. I feel you, sis. I see you. Commit to yourself first and watch the way other men treat you. It's actually wild. And it's like, it goes back to what I was saying, even about like, how I had my own self-love regimen of giving myself flowers and treating myself to like nice things and stuff like that. And it's like, now it's like, I really don't even have to fucking ask for flowers. Like, one of the guys I'm dating literally is like a standby guy for my flowers now, because he will not allow my flowers to die. And I really do love that. And it's because I started giving it to myself first. And I stayed committed to self. And I knew what I always wanted in a relationship. I knew what I always deserved. But I had to start committing to myself at that level in order to receive said commitment. Because life is a mirror, is a reflection. And as a traumatized girly who had never valued myself fully or loved myself properly enough to even achieve those levels of commitment. And I always thought it was something outside of me. I always thought it was something happening to me. It kind of got me lost in my own sauce of bullshit, to where I was always attracting and like manifesting like bullshit. And I never understood that by simply just taking the time to settle down, calm down, and focus on self and commit to self was like literally the key all along. Especially as I started like releasing, fears, doubts, thinking against myself, because now that I love myself so much, like me and myself, we are in a very intimate, passionate, loving relationship. I can never think against myself. Absolutely not. And I refuse to do it. Not even in debating scenarios. Not even in, how some people do that whole worst case scenario type thing. I don't even allow that type of shit around me. I don't allow it in my aura or my energy. I used to be one of those, let me think about the worst case scenario because that's just how life goes. No, it's not. It doesn't have to go that way if you don't think so or believe so. Life is always manifesting our beliefs, always reflecting us. If I fucking believe and entertain a fucking worst case scenario against myself, guess what's gonna happen? But if I want to flip that belief, and if I want to flip that energy, and if I want to flip that investment, if I want to flip those energetics, and I want to put it back on self and say, you know what, there's nothing against me. There's nothing outside of me, which is the truth. This is only reflecting a past version of me. This has no power over me. Guess what? It strips the power. And it allows all those illusions and all of that bullshit to collapse. It allows all of those fears, doubts, irrational thoughts, irrational emotions to collapse, which they need to, so that you can grow. You detach. You cannot be too worried about losing a person, a place, or a thing. You are so unmoved and so unrattled and so unbothered by your reality that you're just like, oh, okay, unfazed. Like, you're grateful, obviously, for the good things, and you're present, obviously, when great things happen. But when anything that is even remotely trying to be against you or whatever, you don't entertain it. You simply grow out of the frequency of thinking against and entertaining anything against self, because you realize how irrational that actually is. And you have to be committed to yourself in a way to where you won't betray yourself, in a way to where you won't manifest against yourself, because you are that committed to your being, your very existence, because we are the core of our realities. We are source. Okay. None of it would have meaning without us. Giving it all the meaning, giving it all the attention, all the awareness, all of the emotion, all of the attachment. But think about it, when you center it on self and you elevate yourself that way, then reality just has a beautiful way of flowing and just simply reflecting. There's no more resistance, okay, that manifested from all the bullshit that you're working against, or you're working inwardly against, or, redirecting your thoughts against. Life starts to kind of flow a lot easier and be a lot more beautiful and a lot more peaceful and a lot more calm. And that natural inner happiness and peace and fulfillment is just flowing more naturally and more thoroughly, because you get used to being in this peaceful, blissful state of being and ease, which is your goddess state. And you guys know I just talked about that on a short. Give it to yourself first. Be so committed to going on this journey, to changing your life, to bettering yourself, to bettering your mindset, to being a healthier person, to regulating your nervous system, to living the life you've always dreamed of, to living the life you know that you fucking deserve, to living the life that you once thought was out of reach. Give it to yourself first. Commit to yourself first enough on a level to where you make it all possible through yourself. Because that's how our reality works. That's how our universe literally works. I didn't make the rules. I just knew how to finesse them. Finally, in my favor. You can't be so overly committed to things and people and circumstances outside of you to where you forget yourself. Okay. And I know I just filmed a video about like not abandoning self and all that, but the level of commitment that you have to yourself is going to reflect. Because if you're a person that is always putting other people, places, and things above you, it's going to show. If you're a person that like you don't want to commit to the gym, that's going to show. If you're a person to where you don't want to commit to that hobby, that skill, that sport, it's going to show in who you are being. If you don't want to commit to those investments and that financial literacy and, building a business, is going to show. So don't do it to yourself, okay? Like, really don't. You owe it to yourself to be fully committed and engaged to yourself, because it's the only way that life can properly reflect. So I love you guys, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Mwah.